Harrison Ford is an American actor, regarded as a cinematic cultural icon. He has starred in several notable films over 7 decades. His films have grossed more than $5.4 billion in North America and more than $9.3 billion worldwide. Born July 13, 1942, age 82 years, Chicago, Illinois, United States. Upcoming movies: Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts **. Spouse: Callista Flockhart, M. 2010. Melissa Matheson, M. 1983 to 2004. Mary Marquardt, M. 1964 to 1979. Children: Liam Flockhart, Ben Ford, Malcolm Ford, Georgia Ford, Willard Ford. Height: 1.85 meters. Harrison Ford net worth $300 million. Early life: Harrison Ford was born at the Swedish Covenant Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, on July 13, 1942, to former radio actress Dorothy, née Neidleman, and advertising executive and former actor John William Christopher Ford. His younger brother, Terence, was born in 1945. Their father was a Catholic of Irish descent, while their mother was an Ashkenazi Jew whose parents were immigrants from Minsk, Belarus, then in the Russian Empire. When asked in which religion he and his brother were raised, Ford jokingly responded, Democrat, and more seriously stated that they were raised to be liberals of every stripe. When asked about what influence his Jewish and Irish Catholic ancestry may have had on him, he quipped, "As a man I've always felt Irish, as an actor I've always felt Jewish." Ford was a Boy Scout, achieving the second highest rank of Life Scout. He worked at Nappawan Adventure Base Scout Camp as a counselor for the Reptile Study Merit Badge. Because of this, he and director Steven Spielberg later decided to depict the young Indiana Jones as a Life Scout in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 1989. Ford graduated in 1960 from Maine East High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. His voice was the first student voice broadcast on his high school's new radio station, WMTH, and he was its first sportscaster during his senior year. He attended Ripon College in Ripon, Wisconsin, where he was a philosophy major and a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity. A self-described late bloomer, Ford took a drama class in the final quarter of his senior year to get over his shyness and became fascinated with acting. Ford was expelled from college for plagiarism 4 days before graduation. Career: 1964 to 1976. In 1964, after a season of summer stock with the Belfry Players in Wisconsin, Ford traveled to Los Angeles and eventually signed a contract with Columbia Pictures' new talent program. 60 to 69, his first known role was an uncredited one as a bellhop in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round, 1966. There is little record of his non-speaking or extra roles in film. Ford was at the bottom of the hiring list, having offended producer Jerry Tokofsky. According to one anecdote, Tokofsky told Ford that when actor Tony Curtis delivered a bag of groceries, he could tell that Curtis was a movie star whereas Ford wasn't. Ford immediately retorted that if Curtis was truly a talented actor, he would have delivered them like a bellhop. Ford was apparently fired soon after. His speaking roles continued next with Love, 1967, though he was still uncredited. He was finally credited as Harrison J. Ford in the 1967 Western film A Time for Killing, starring Glenn Ford, George Hamilton, and Inger Stevens, but the J did not stand for anything since he has no middle name. It was added to avoid confusion with a silent film actor named Harrison Ford, who appeared in more than 80 films between 1915 and 1932 and died in 1957. Ford later said that he was unaware of the existence of the earlier actor until he came upon a star with his own name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Ford soon dropped the J and worked for Universal Studios, playing minor roles in many television series throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, including Gunsmoke, Ironside, The Virginian, The FBI, Love, American Style, and Kung Fu. He appeared in The Western Journey to Shiloh, 1968, and had an uncredited, non-speaking role in Michelangelo Antonioni's 1970 film Zabriskie Point as an arrested student protester. In 1968, he also worked as a camera operator for one of the Doors tours. French filmmaker Jacques Demy chose Ford for the lead role of his first American film, Model Shop, 1969. But the head of Columbia Pictures thought Ford had no future in the film business and told Demme to hire a more experienced actor. The part eventually went to Gary Lockwood. Ford later commented that the experience had been nevertheless a positive one because Demme was the first to show such faith in him. Not happy with the roles offered to him, Ford became a self-taught professional carpenter to support his then-wife and 2 young sons. Clients at this time included the writers Joan Didion and John Gregory Dunn, who lived on the beach at Malibu. Ford appears in the documentary Joan Didion. The Center Will Not Hold. He and his wife became friends of the writers. Casting director and fledgling producer Fred Roos championed the young Ford and secured him an audition with George Lucas for the role of Bob Falfa, which Ford went on to play in American Graffiti, 1973. Ford's relationship with Lucas profoundly affected his career later. After director Francis Ford Coppola's film The Godfather was a success, he hired Ford to expand his office and gave him small roles in his next 2 films, The Conversation, 1974, and Apocalypse Now, 1979. In the latter film, Ford played an Army colonel named Gia Lucas. Personal life. Ford has been married 3 times and has 4 biological children and 1 adopted child. He was first married to Mary Marquardt from 1964 until their divorce in 1979. They had 2 sons, born in 1966 and 1969. The older son co-owns Ford's Filling Station, a gastropub located at Terminal 5 in Los Angeles International Airport. The younger son is owner of the Ludwig Clothing Company and previously owned Strong Sports Gym and the Kim Sing Theater. Ford's second marriage was to screenwriter Melissa Matheson from March 1983 until their separation in 2000. They divorced in 2004. They had a son, born in 1987, and a daughter, born in 1990. Matheson died in 2015. Ford began dating actress Callista Flockhart after they met at the 2002 Golden Globe Awards. He proposed to Flockhart over Valentine's Day weekend in 2009. They married on June 15, 2010 in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Ford was filming Cowboys and Aliens. They are the parents of a son, born in 2001, whom Flockhart had adopted before meeting Ford. Ford and Flockhart live on an 800-acre, 320-hectare, 3.2 square kilometer ranch in Jackson, Wyoming, where he has lived since the 1980s and approximately half of which he has donated as a nature reserve. They retain a base in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. Ford is one of Hollywood's most private actors, guarding much of his personal life. Ford commented on his parenting choices in 2023. "I can tell you this. If I'd been less successful, I'd probably be a better parent." In her 2016 autobiography, The Princess Diarist, his co-star Carrie Fisher wrote that she and Ford had a 3-month affair in 1976 during the filming of Star Wars.